Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. transcendental vibration by chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 5, which is entitled Cause of All Causes. And this morning we're doing text 38. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasishya Maris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasishya Maris Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivachari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Klal Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Nishri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namani Narayana Namaste Chanarunchevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gadirayat Nashta Prayesu Abhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamastoke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishchiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 38. Bhuloka kalpita padhyam, Bhuvaloko syanavita, Veda swaloka urasa, Mahaloko mahatmana, Bhuvaloka kalpita no. Buloka kalpitam vadhyam, Bhuvaloko syanabhita, Vedasvaloka urasa, Mahaloko mahatmana, Buloka kalpita padvyam, Bhuvaloko syanabhita, Vedasvaloka urasa, Mahaloko mahatmana. Hare Krishna. Please unmute and chant if you feel so inclined.
भूर्लोकः कल्पिता पदभ्यां भुवर्लोकस्य नाभितः हृदा स्वर्गलोक उरसा महर्लोको महात्मनः हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
भूर्लोकः कल्पितः भूर्लोककल्पितः पद्भ्यां भूर्लोकस्य नाभितः हृदयस्वर्लोक उरसा महर्लोको महात्मनः हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
Purloka kalpita padvyam, Purvarloka shyanabhita, Hridaswarloka urasa, Maharloko mahatmana.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Purvaloko kalpita padhayam Purloko sahanabitaha Ardhar sarvlokar usar Mahar loko mahatamaha.
Jai. Thank you, Jackie. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
हरे कृष्ण भूर्लोककल्पिता पदभ्यां भुवर्लोकस्य नाभितः हृदा स्वर्लोक उरसा महर्लोको महात्मनः हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? All right. Word for word translation. The lower planetary systems up to the stratum of the earth. Loka, the planets. Kalpita, it is so imagined or said. Padhyam, out of the legs. Bhuva, the upper. Loka, the planetary system. Asya, of him, the Lord. Nabhita, from the navel abdomen. Hrida, by the heart. Swaloka, the planetary systems occupied by the demigods. Urasa, by the chest. Mahaloka, the planetary system occupied by great sages and saints. Mahatmana, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The lower planetary systems up to the limit of the earthly stratum are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from Bhuvaloka, are situated in his navel, and the still higher planetary systems, occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints, are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 14 spheres of planetary systems within this universe. The lower systems are called Bhuloka, the middle systems are called Bhuvaloka, and the higher planetary systems up to Brahmaloka, the highest planetary system of the universe, are called Swaloka. And all of them are situated on the body of the Lord. In other words, no one within this universe is without a relationship with the Lord. Om Gyanati Virandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Shacharini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So translation, English translation of the text. The lower planetary systems, up to the limit of the earthly stratum, are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from Bhuvaloka, are situated in his navel. And the still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord. So this is again a description of the material world and how the universal form plays into the material world. There are 14 planetary systems, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, and sometimes it's broken down into 7 upper planetary systems and 7 lower planetary systems. And other times too, it's described as upper planetary systems, medium planetary systems, or middle planetary systems, and then lower planetary systems. There is no inconsistency here. Sometimes there's one that's very general and the other one that's a little more detailed, like that. So, and that's you find practically everywhere in the scriptures. Sometimes some things are talked about in detail, and sometimes to make a point, make another point. This is like prefaced with, a simpler or more summarized description. So there's lower planetary systems. There's 7 of them. And then if you count from the bottom up, then after the 7th one, then the earthly planetary system is there. Mm-hmm. And in some parts of the scriptures, Bhuloka is described as the earthly planetary system. And then, of course, Bhuvaloka, and then from Swargaloka up, that's the beginning of the heavenly, as we know them, the heavenly planetary systems. There are different planets. Planetary systems means that there's a whole set of planets within that particular level. So that's why we use the word planetary systems. They are limitless. It's not easy for us to count a whole lot of them in one planetary system. So that's why the word is used. And science is now slowly beginning to catch up with the fact that there are not just a few planets in this universe like they're thinking. One experiment that was done, and I won't go into the detail of it, but it had to do with those who were looking at astronomy, and they looked at the moon, and that's when they found out that there was a whole lot more, whole many more planets in this system here than they ever thought of or they ever knew. And so that's changed the mindset of people, but it's not gone into the textbooks yet. In other words, this is still a report of some findings. That's the way it is now. But in time, when more people begin to realize that that is the case, then again, the books are going to be written. The books that are there about it will have new editions, and then from the new editions, they're going to put in this extra information as they find it. The material knowledge is always in flux, but spiritual knowledge is definite and there's no change in it. We just have to kind of safeguard it because sometimes demonic people try to change things about it. They have done that to the Bible to an extent that to me is just very sad. But because I knew it was like things in the Bible 30 years ago, and I look now online and all of these different versions have changed. Case in point, what I myself am wearing now, tilak, on the forehead. There shall be those known as children of God. They shall wear the mark of God on their forehead, and they shall see his face. 30 years ago, you look in the Bible, that's what it says. Now it says, there shall be those known as the children of God. They will have the name of God on their forehead. Now the word mark has been changed to the name of God on their forehead because the Christians don't really know the mark of the Lord on the forehead. It is this. The two parallel lines represent the feet of the Lord, and the bottom one that is on the nose represents the Tulsi leaf. And Tulsi Maharani is a very, very great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a whole pastime about her. And she is giving her mercy to those of us here on this earth by coming in the form of a plant. So there's a whole pastime of how all of that unfolded. And the leaves of the plant are very auspicious. The flowers, or we call them the manjaris, of the plant are also very auspicious. And they are used when we serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by cooking and giving to the Lord first when we cook. And then at the time we're serving, then we put the leaves of a Tulsi plant there. So this bottom part here that looks like it's just tapered at the very bottom of the mark, that is in fact representing the Tulsi leaf from Maharani Tulsi or Vrinda Devi, same name, same personality. So to come back to this, in this particular text, it's described lower planetary system up to the limit of the earthly stratum. The stratum is like the border. They are situated on the legs of the Lord. And the middle planetary system, so this is the Virat Rupa, the universal form being described. The middle planetary systems, from the navel on, is where Bhuvaloka planetary system is. And then higher planetary systems, Swaloka and up, which are occupied by demigods and Indra and so on, and cultured saints, Brigu and Lord Brahma and quite a few other saints too. They're all there, Brihaspati. They are all situated. Those are higher up the universe. So those who look at the Virat Rupa, the universal form, see it basically trying to describe the parts of a personality. And that's why they say chest of the Lord. But the chest of the Lord is higher than the legs. Even for us as human beings, our chest is way higher than the legs. So it's really describing the fact that the higher planetary system are, that's why we call them higher planetary systems. In position, they are higher up the universe. So the lower parts are occupied by the lower planetary systems, and there's 7 of them. Also, when Srila Prabhupada describes the planetary systems in his purport, he says the 14, again, he talks about there are 14 planetary systems within this universe. Lower systems are called Bhuloka, middle systems are called Bhuvaloka, and the higher planetary systems up to Brahmaloka are called the Swaloka. Again, this is another way of defining the systems, the different planetary systems. And this is consistent with those of us who know the mantras that we chant because of second initiation. We're talking about the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra is actually not known by everybody. Those who are second initiates do chant that every day, 3 times a day. But the first line, there's 7 lines, first line and the 7th line, those are actually even known. They are even sung about and so on. And it starts Om Bu Bhuva Swa. Om Bu Bhuva Swa, which is exactly what Srila Prabhupada talks about here. Om Bu, just that if you take the word Loka off, then it's Bu, Bhuva, and Swa. Lower planetary systems are sometimes called Bu, but the Earth is also in a planetary system also called Bu, and that's closer to the middle part. And that's why the text itself, and hopefully I'm not confusing you, the text itself talks about lower planetary system up to the limit of the earthly stratum. In other words, from the bottom part, the very last one, up to the middle part, just the beginning of the middle part. That's what's called the Buloka. The earth is also part of Buloka. But so the word Bu is sometimes used twice to describe the bottom part of the universe, and sometimes it's used to describe the earthly planetary systems. So hopefully that won't throw you off. Why? Well, I'm just talking about what is described here. I can't describe the why, but this is how it's used. Anyway, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, chapter 5, which is the chapter we're on now. But further down in text, we are in text 38 today. But 40 and 41, to Narada is being taught a little bit more by Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the one that creates the varieties in the universe. The universe itself is from Mahavishnu. And then the expansion of it, of him, is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And it's through Garbhodakshaya Vishnu that Brahma is born. And Brahma is the one that's given the task of using what's in the universe that's unmanifested in terms of not used in a particular area. It's like maybe the best thing is to talk about an artist before they start painting. They have all the ingredients. The canvas is there, the inks are there, and the different things. The brush is there. That's what Brahma sees. And then he has to paint the pictures. So he takes this and puts it here, and that one there, and that one there. And then he creates the different planets in the universe and positions them, and also creates the demigods, who are the controllers of the different aspects of life in the material world. That's all comes from Lord Brahma. So that's who the Bible talks about. God said that there be this. God said that that the waters get separated from the land. All of those. That is Lord Brahma. He's that powerful, and he's that trained well. But of course, the Bible never says anything about him being trained by God with Akshaya Vishnu. It just talks about what he did. So Jesus is also in connection with Lord Brahma, but that's for another time. Stay with this. So the lower planetary system, I'll spend some time talking about the different systems. So the very bottom planetary system is called the Pataloka, the very bottom. The way it's described in 40 and 41, text 40 and 41, it talks about from the Earth planetary system, now we're going to go down. First planetary system, which is first to the lower, is called Atala. And that is supposed to be situated on the waist of the Virat Rupa, the universal form. Then there's Vitala, we're going down now, situated on the thighs. And then Sutala, on the knees. So if you know how our body structure is anyway. So obviously, if we say we're starting on the waist and going down to the thighs and then going down like that, then we're going further down the form. So Sutala is on the knees. The fourth one is called Talatala, and that's on the shanks. That's the part of the body between the knees and the feet, that long part. The fifth one is Mahatala, on the ankles, and then the sixth one is on the feet, but the upper portion, and then the seventh one, Pataloka, planetary system, that's under the feet, the soles of the feet. So the universal form of the Lord is full of all of the planetary systems. Now the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 9, text 10, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Chara Charam Hetunanena Konteya Jagat Viparivartate. He says, this material nature, which is this one of my energies, is working under my direction, O Arjun, O son of Kunti. And it produces all moving and non-moving beings. And we know that we ourselves are moving beings. There's quite a few moving beings also. And the non-moving beings are trees, plants, and so on. They are fixed in one spot. So under his rule, my energies, then this manifestation is created and then also annihilated again and again. So there's a cycle that goes on. There's a creation, and then it's maintained for a while, and then it's annihilated. So every universe goes through this. There's one Brahma for each universe. So we have one Brahma for our universe here. And he lives 311 trillion, 40 billion years of our Earth years. But the way we see the solar time. But he, on his own time, he lives 100 years. So even time is relative. As later on in Canto 3, Maitreya Muni would explain that. And to me, it's better than even the science that people know now, material science, even though this is also part of material science, but it is actually more described in greater detail. Every living entity has a time that they live, after which, of course, they die. But we see it as, oh, well, then this particular dog or so on, they live this much time, or 12 years or so on, some 8 years. Some trees can live way longer than us. Some trees go up to 5,000 years. Elephants is about 200 years, and so on, like that. But this is all based on our time. But it's not like that necessarily for that species. So in the example that was given about Lord Brahma, in Lord Brahma's time, he lives 100 years. But Lord Brahma's 1 second is 100,000 years for us. So time, according to the way we see Lord Brahma's life, it goes very, very, he lives a long time, very long time. Mm-hmm. So much so that in some other aspects of the Shastra, the scriptures, those in the heavenly planets that live for millions, depending on the planet, and billions, again, depending on the planet that you're in, they are called deathless because death takes a long time before it comes to. It doesn't mean that they don't leave their bodies, they do. But based on ours, I mean, billions of years, trillions of years, it's not occurring anytime soon. So they live a very, very long time. We only live at this point in Kali Yuga 100 years. So the Lord is saying that it is one of his energies that's creating this whole material, marvelous material world. And it is the same energy that produces, this material energy produces the moving things, the moving beings, and the non-moving beings. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains that this energy that Krishna is talking about is his external energy. He himself is aloof from all the activities. So he's not directly involved in it, directly involved in the running of it. Those are all given to demigods, including Lord Brahma himself is in that category, demigod. So the Lord is aloof, and some things are very important from this statement, which we'll talk about now. If the Lord is aloof from the activities of the material world, even though the energy is from him, so he's a supreme director, true enough, then where does he want us to relate to him? Which energy? He's aloof from the material energy, aloof, but he has material and spiritual energy. And so we have a choice because we've been given free choice. Just like the Lord has a supreme will, that's whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And we are put, or Papa describes us as being of the marginal energy. We have a choice to deal with things materially or spiritually in our lives, as short as our lives are, only 100 years, 100 or so approximately. But if the Lord is aloof from his material energy and that leaves the spiritual, then to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we obviously have to look at him, connecting with him from a spiritual standpoint. The internal energy, not this external energy. So he wants us to connect with him spiritually and not materially. And that is the point. If we have to connect with the Lord materially, then we'll be like a regular religionist that knows about God, but does everything, or knows something about God, but does everything material. And there's nothing in their life that is transcendental or spiritual. They are just being coached about it. They don't know much about the soul. In Bhagavad Gita, you go to chapter 2, there's a lot of description about the soul from verse text 22, 23, 24, 25, that area. Sri Krishna describes the soul, what it does, where it is, what size it is, what happens, how it connects to birth, how it connects to death, and whether you can destroy it or not. All of that has been described. So that's transcendental, the description of the soul. And then he also talks about the importance of us relating to him at the spiritual level by understanding that his birth, his appearance, Krishna's appearance, and his activities are all on a transcendental level, even if parts of it looks like what we're familiar with in the material world, even if parts of it. Now, that shouldn't surprise us if some parts of it are similar to what we see in the material world, because it is from the spiritual that material comes to be. the material is really a reflection of the spiritual. So then sometimes people ask, what's going on in the spiritual world? What happens there? The things that we know here, does it happen over there too? The answer is yes, but in the perfect state. It happens in a perfect state. What we say is our way of life is actually a perverted lifestyle. It's like a distorted lifestyle from the reality. The reality is spiritual. And we are in the material world, trying to live a certain life, and we're going through difficulty. We are part and parcels of the Lord, as the Lord said, Mamai Bamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are part and parcels of Him. But then with all the five senses and the mind, we're struggling in this material world. Manashastani, Indriyani, Prakritistani, Kashati. That's our situation. So even when the Virat Rupa, the universal form, is being described to us, well, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about everything in detail. But we also have to think in terms of, all right, so it is the material world. It's wonderful to read about it, to hear about it, to see how things are put together. But what's our life in this material world? What are we supposed to do or not do? Krishna puts his statement out that all the living entities, the forms and species, are all provided by me. I am the seed-giving Father. The Lord glances in the material energy and all the activities start by the Lord. When the universe has come to be, then the whole thing is started. Because when the universe has come to be from the Lord, then time is also put in. And then life starts for all the living entities who are here in the material world. And the bodies that are in are based on the desires that they have. Some are going through some sort of punishment, but for the most part, the body that's given is based on desires. So he explains in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 4, Sava yunishu konteya, murtaya samavatiya, tasam brahma mahat yunir, aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, they are made possible by birth in this material nature. And I am the seed-giving Father. So just like we have our experience that the father gives the seed to the womb of a mother, we say the mother is ovulated, so the eggs are ready for reception. And that is the physical part. So the father seeds from a material standpoint, and then the Lord actually provides the soul. So that happens simultaneously. When the egg is fertilized, then the soul is also entering. And that's why it's explained that the size of the soul is very, very small. It's atomic. Life starts when the egg gets fertilized in the womb of the mother. Sometimes in other species, the egg is fertilized and it's external, like chickens. Their eggs are fertilized like that. Even snakes, they're also the eggs. Scorpions, they all have eggs external. But they get, one thing that happens is that they're all fertilized or injected with the male seminar. That's what we're used to. But that alone won't produce the child. That alone will not. There has to be the soul. Because the soul is what gives consciousness. When the soul leaves the body, that particular structure, what we call the body, is non-functional anymore. So it's the soul that gives consciousness, soul that gives life. So the soul is called the life force, making activities occur, even if that particular soul is in a body that's stationary, like a tree. So trees have souls, and dogs have souls, animals have souls, trees have souls, fish or aquatics have souls, insects have souls. Even the ones that we can't see with this limited eyesight that we have, they all have soul. And the soul is the one that gives consciousness. So that's the way things are put together in the material world. But there's also struggle in the material world. And that's the part that makes it difficult. And Krishna is saying that this is not a place that we need to be. Even though we're here, human beings, especially those in the human bodies, are the most fortunate because we have enough intelligence to understand, if we want to, the situation that we're in and how difficult it is. Nobody likes old age, but if you stay long enough, you're going to get old. People don't like it when people, others, the families usually get disappointed when a member of the family dies young. It's especially difficult for the family members to accept it. It's especially difficult for family members to accept it when a person dies suddenly. But with those things not there, if the person does not die suddenly, or the person does not die young, they're going to get old. And that brings its own set of problems. Yeah, when you get to old age and you find out what it is like, the body just gives pain from any part at any time and any type of pain at any time. Mm-hmm. And you find yourself have to pay more attention to it. There are other things you have to do. Sometimes, the medical establishment helps you out to some extent, but still, there are some things that they can't do because the body is just breaking down. So if we die young, families don't like it, friends don't like it. If you don't die young, you get old, you go through a lot of problems with the body. So basically, either way you look at it, there's problems. It is challenging to live here. So anyone that says, I'm trying to make this world satisfactory enough for me to live in, they're kidding themselves if they're looking at it from a material standpoint. In other words, they are in illusion. And that is the illusion that is described here in the material world. The material world is real, but the illusory part of it is people thinking that they're going to be satisfied with what's here. We are those of us listening now are in this particular country, the United States, that has more material things available than any other country in the world. Are we really happy? Just mention one thing and see where the happiness is. Politics. Just saying politics. Is that happiness? There's nothing happy. There's happiness, no happiness being generated from politics. But it's the politicians that are making decisions about our lives, material lives. So then it makes more sense for a person's intelligence to kick in and say that if we depend only on the material lifestyle, we're never going to be happy. And I've already described the old age. It gives problems. You die young, you don't like it. You die suddenly, you don't like it. You get old before you die. Oh, you've lived a long life. But you lived a long, painful life, especially when you get older. So it makes more sense to say, why am I here? Why am I going through what I'm going through? Is there something better? Well, I heard God created the earth and the other planets, and he's supposed to be very merciful and kind and loving. But why am I going through this then? The answer is we are in the wrong place. This is jail. And many religions don't ever mention this place as jail, but it is God's jail. Sometimes we use a nice word as a house of correction. Yeah, to correct our minds that were not right in terms of wanting to be the Lord of all that we survey, even in a spiritual world, meaning trying to take Christian's position rather than being a servant of the Lord. Our happiness comes from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we relate to each other in love, we also serve each other. So that is also part of our lifestyle. Spiritual lifestyle, that is. So if we make it a point to change from the mind first and saying, okay, the Lord will help me. Super Soul is already with me in this body. And if we turn our attention to the super soul, we will be directed wonderfully, even while we're here in this jail, in terms of what to do and what not to do. There will be plenty of protection that will come. We'll see, we'll experience it in our lives. And associating with other devotees who also see life for what it is, material life for what it is, and trying to do what it takes in the spiritual rule of law in order to leave this place and make this the very last body that they're living in. Those we have to associate with. Those are like-minded people. We have to associate with them. Mm-hmm. And from there, we learn, we share what we've learned, and we encourage each other. Just like we talked about the other day, the temple president Harrisburg's talking about having to get up in the morning and get on Zoom, in particular Zoom, and start chanting rounds where others are chanting. There used to be only 3 people that were doing that. At the beginning of the week, it went to 8, which is more than double, almost triple. Now, it seems like it's little, but it's always, always very encouraging to see that happen. There's more people join. It's a question of getting up a little early, maybe an hour or so before you normally get up, and begin after you clean yourself. Offer the pranams to your spiritual master or to see the Prabhupada if you're not initiated. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatyadi Shatarini. You start chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is the ticket out of the material world in this yuga that we're in, Kali Yuga. So it is a question, I know some of you already know about this, but the question is, how determined are we to follow the spiritual rule of law? How determined are we to follow the spiritual rule of law so that this body would be the last body? Krishna wants us home. Krishna loves us very, very much, way more than we can even imagine. So he has come to be with us in his incarnation or expansion as a super soul. We are the ones that challenged the Lord, wanting to take his position in the spiritual world. And then we wanted to be in control, so we got put here so we can try to control. But actually, if a person opens his eyes and intelligence kicks in, they realize that this is not control at all. Material energy is actually beating us. So it was wrong to come here. When we admit that, then the next thing is, all right, so how do we correct it? The Lord comes with us. Every single living entity is in a body with the super soul as part of it. Just think about it. The Lord never really leaves us. That is already an indication of how much he loves us. The child is going to go to some place he's going to have problems. But the parent knows that the problems are there, so the parent hangs around that place where the child is going. From lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, the Lord is with us. Until such time that we turn our attention, having gone through problems with this material world, and finally beginning to realize that we're not going to be happy here. We turn our attention, and the Lord makes arrangements immediately. Immediately. In a way, wherever we are, in a way that we would be able to connect with them. And in Kali Yuga, we hear, we chant the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, and we also serve in different ways explained in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And even if you didn't know it, just go to a temple and ask the temple authorities, I would like some service, and they will involve you. And every service that you do, because the temple especially is a place where the business is 100% service to Krishna. Everything that you do, no matter how little, goes into your spiritual bank account. And Krishna notices that, and that way we connect more in love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we have an opportunity to go home. That opportunity is going to be enhanced in terms of the other parts that we need to be about. And then it's up to us how seriously we take the process of going back home. Krishna has done this part. He's here as Paramatma. He has been here in his original form and spoken to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what needs to be done. He has come in many other times in his different incarnations, and then the pure devotees of the Lord have also spoken about the Lord. And this is all recorded in the commentary of Vedanta Sutra, which we call Srimad Bhagavatam. That's also available. And then he's come a little over 500, almost 540 years now. Next year will be 540 years as Lord Chaitanya. So he talked about it, about what to do in Bhagavad Gita, and then he came 540 years ago to show what to do. Now, on top of that, we have the opportunity to go to the most versatile of all spiritual planets, Golok Vrindavan. That is the opportunity that we have. There will be no anxiety in any of the spiritual planets. True enough, everything is provided. But in Golok Vrindavan, the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is more than what we see in all the other Vaikuntha planets. There's more types of relationship. And each one of us has a special relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of those 5 categories, but a special one. And the service is all voluntary. Nobody has a job to serve. The service is all voluntary, as you like, because love is all around us. As one of the, we say this last point, as one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada explained, he said that everybody that goes back to the spiritual world will see Srila Prabhupada, everybody from this society. They will see Srila Prabhupada, but Srila Prabhupada in his original form, and we will recognize it. Why? Because the soul has all knowledge. That's one of the qualities of a soul. And so there will be wonderful, wonderful reunion and going back to the lifestyle that is anxiety-free and everything is provided. So we are very, very fortunate to be in this particular movement. It's only a question, Lord Chaitanya's movement. It's only a question of taking it seriously and trying your very best to pull others who are ready into it so that we will all have the benefit of the real love of Krishna shown in its fullness in the spiritual world. Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much for coming to listen, and through the mercy of Guru and Guranga, we say something to excite all of us, hopefully, motivate us to take Krishna consciousness even more seriously than we are now. This is the time to unmute yourself, dear devotees. And if you want to share or ask questions, then you can. Hare Krishna. So are there any questions, or are there any comments? Are there any takeaways?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to always
Left mind, glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you for reminding us how short life is in this material world. Because I was just thinking when you were mentioning, that the life expectancy is 100 years, I said to myself, if we're lucky.
Yes, that's getting shorter and shorter, yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, it's very rare to find anybody living more than 100. I mean, and then like you said, right, sometimes we say, oh, they passed away at the age of 50, 60. So, like even when we say, oh, passed away at the age of 85, and then we say, oh, they've lived a long life. But we forget that, yeah, it's long, but it was miserable.
Yep. From 50 on, the body started breaking down.
Yeah. It's so funny because we just think, oh, they lived a long life. They've enjoyed this. They've enjoyed that. Yeah. But it was miserable because it's like a bondage, It's like literally living in a bondage. So I was appreciating how that we need reminders to, and I think what I feel is these reminders are not negative reminders to give us or make us feel depressed and sad and oh my God, I'm in this dungeon. But it should give us the motivation and the impetus and the drive to do what it takes to get out of this material world and not come back, like really, really, really serious, and which will bring us closer to the Lord. So I was just thinking how, rather than looking at it negatively, is how we should look at it as an opportunity, you know, to actually take the process seriously and really check ourselves and really assess ourselves to grow in Krishna consciousness.
Thank
So
you
yeah,
for bringing that.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the whole point. When we talk about things, we're not trying to say, oh, the life in the material world is so morbid. Of these, the Hare Krishnas are always talking about something bad here and something bad here. And find out from the Pandacharya himself is just it's, everything here is bad, it's miserable. Hmm? But he knows what it is like in the spiritual world. We've forgotten what it's like in the spiritual world. That's why he speaks like that. But actually, it is all, it's the whole point is to encourage us to disconnect from the concept or the thought that material world will make us happy. Real happiness is in the spiritual world so that we can prepare to go there. Or take the process to go there seriously so we can actually get that chance to go because that's what Krishna wants to happen to us. Thank you very much for your comment. Dear Krishna Prabhu, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such a nice class. So many nice
Krishna's
points.
mercy. Krishna's
Um,
mercy, Guru's mercy.
Haribol. Yeah, just I wanted to add a little bit to your last comment about
Absolutely. Please
it
go ahead.
is it may sound negative, but at least as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we are not, you know, putting a fake picture, artificial sweet picture, and trying to attract anyone. The truth is out there. It is based on scriptures, sadhu, and guru,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the very honest way to preach the Krishna consciousness. So, just wanted to add to your wonderful points there. And also, when we talk about these time periods, and as even as practicing devotees, we hear, oh, Kali Yuga is 430,000, 32,000 years of lifespan, or not lifespan, but the duration of Kali Yuga is 432,000. Out of that, 5,000 have already passed. But we should also remember that out of those 432,000 years, uh, I think, if I'm not wrong, only 10,000 years we will have this opportunity to practice pure bhakti. Hmm? Uh, this this access is given only for that 10,000 years. And I also heard somewhere that Krishna control time. So even if it is 10,000 years, 432,000 years, based on how things are going, those those years can be preponed, or hard for me to understand, explain, but Krishna can prepone all those, or reduce that duration also, depending on how the speed of Kali Yuga goes on. I don't want to confuse anyone, but that is all controlled by Krishna. So uh, thank you for bringing the point that we have the best opportunity in the form of teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, where access to the highest, the most relishable spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan, is given to us. And with that, I
Thank you.
have one question as a follow up is,
Sure.
when we practice ourselves or try to help others also
Mm-hmm.
to practice or take up these teachings,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't see the reciprocation. It's like sometimes you're talking to the blank walls, even though people are out there. Uh, they will just not reciprocate or even give you the hint whether they're understanding, they're confused, they're. So how to deal with those kind of situations, or it could be fault in like me talking about not being able to talk properly or something. So just trying to looking for some help there.
Sometimes we worry, and I don't I have to say lack of a better word, worry about why things seem not to, from us not to generate a change that we're expecting or hoping for in the person that is listening, or they just say that they've come to Krishna consciousness and their level of seriousness is not that high. There's sometimes reasons, some of the reasons are not really um, to be connected with the speaker or the person that is trying to teach the Krishna consciousness. There are situations involving the person, the listeners, on karma. So there are people who are ready to jump in and take Krishna consciousness very seriously. And we see that sometimes somebody comes. There are some people that have been coming around for a long time and they don't do much in order to grow spiritually. Then one person comes and all of a sudden everything is taken very seriously by this person. They want to serve, they chant, they get up in the morning, all of that's happening. Because in previous lives, they have been involved in the preparation to elevate themselves spiritually. That's there. Now, the other part that is on the speaker or the person that is trying to get Krishna consciousness, disseminated or told to others, and hopefully trying to get them interested, is, and this goes from individual to individual. That is a preacher. Srila Prabhupada has described that purity is a force. And so while we're doing the service of trying to preach, we also should look at ourselves more critically in terms of the lower nature and how to improve that, to how to get rid of the lower nature so that we ourselves are growing too spiritually as we're trying to serve. And it is said that way, that the more we purify ourselves, the more impact that our service of preaching has on those. Mm-hmm. That is a part of it, but the other part really has to do with the people who are listening and how developed they themselves are. Now, one of the things that can be done is exactly what is done in first grade. In kindergarten and first grade, I won't even go to second grade, just first grade. Hmm? If you remember, well, you may not, but at least you've seen first grade teachers and what they do. You better know about what they do. You may remember yours too. When we had to learn the ABCs, when we had to learn the words of a particular language, what did the teacher do? He called out the word or he called out the letter and he had us follow by saying the same thing. Now, look at it the other way. If the teacher, the first grade teacher has said, all right, here class, here's the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, like that to the end. And there's no repetition. How much of it is going to go into the minds of the students? Not much. So we're saying that to say that, and I was thinking about it this morning. It's funny that you asked a question of that nature. If you want devotees to chant, they're not chanting, then make chanting a part of the program when they get together. You have to jumpstart somebody. Sometimes that's what it boils down to. Some people come in and come to Krishna consciousness and they'll take up chanting as soon as they hear that is the most important thing to do in Kali Yuga. They'll start and they'll stay with it. But there are others that you literally have to make them do it. And since they're adults and you can't force them to do it, then you make it part of the program when they're all together. So that every time there's a program, there is chanting. And I'm talking about japa chanting because they will sing in the kirtan. That's one part of it. But the japa chanting is what the kirtan they expected. But the japa, no. Therefore, you take time off some time of the preaching period, and give to them to chant the holy name of the Lord. So on one time the chant and congregational chanting japa is very effective because people tend to pay more attention. Their minds don't move to other things so much when they're hearing others chanting also. It's very, very, very effective. So one of the suggestions is add one round of japa to the program. To try to begin to tell, and then he just simply tell them, all right, so this is start. Now you can do it at home too, like that. And hopefully that will start them up. At least you pointed them in the right direction. Thank you for your question. It's very, very, very good question.
Thank you so much. I
Okay.
think very, very practical answers, Prabhu. And that
Krishna's mercy.
last suggestion to include the chanting is wonderful. We are going to implement it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jackie Mataji.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Prabhupada.
Oh, it's Shri Prabhupada.
Great, interesting class.
Krishna's mercy. Yeah. Mhm.
I was always wondering about, were there any similarities between Krishna consciousness and the Bible? And this is the first time I've heard a couple of connections. So that was very, very interesting to me. Very interesting. And last, a little bit off topic, the invocation that you sing before you
Yeah.
start class, was it? It sounded like maybe there were 3. Could you tell me where the names of those are?
There is prayers to Srila Prabhupada, prayers to Srila Prabhupada, which says pranam, as you heard it, pranam. So Pranam, just like I pronounced it, pranam, Srila Prabhupada. These are all things that I'm asking, so you can go on the internet and find that out. Okay, pranam to Srila Prabhupada. That's one. Then there's Pancha, Panca. The C we pronounce it like CH, even though there's no H. But so Pancha, Panca, then Tattva, Tattv as in Vivian, A, Pancha Tattva, Mahamantra. Those are a good start. Those are always the mantras that we use.
Yes.
And I see that Dear Krishna, it's under, you see, if you look at the chat section, under where it says Devendra Agarwal, that's his legal name, but we call him Dear Krishna Prabhu. That's his initiated name. So Devendra Agarwal, you see there, he's giving you a link, and that was the link. If you click on that link, ISKCON Desire Tree, Jayarada Madhava, that was the part that I was singing in the beginning. The words for that. You got that. So
okay.
Yeah, look up Pranam Srila Prabhupada, which is, you will see it says Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutana. Like every time you see a C, pronounce it like an CH for all of them. Every time you see a C in the writing. And that's where you get those.
Thank you. Thank you, Haribo.
Haribo. Any other comments? If not, then thank you very much.
Prabhuji, there is a question from Shane Prabhu.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Shane, please go ahead.
He typed on the chat.
Oh, he typed it.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. So now we got to look. Oh, okay. All right. See, I see it now. Hare Krishna, oh God, Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for this wonderful class. My mother is Christian and wants to grow in her relationship with God after seeing my changes over the last few years. How can I help her without pushing this ideology so strongly and making her uncomfortable? All right. I started off Christian myself. And so there was one book, unfortunately, it's out of print now. There's 2 books actually, Christ and Krishna, and I doubt that it's in print. The other one too, that was a very provocative title of that book that says, "You mean it's in the Bible?" That's actually the title of the book. You mean it's in the Bible? I read the whole thing, both of them, and there are some references in the Bible that I'll say a few of them if you just want to note that down. And for that matter, Jackie also, because he made a comment about that. Our diet is a vegetarian diet. You go to Genesis chapter 1, text verse 29. So you start with the diet. part. 129, chapter 1 to 29. Now, as far as reincarnation, there are two places in Matthew, but I will have to describe it a little more because it was a conversation between Christ and his disciples. So that one I'll have to talk about it a little more, maybe the next time, because we're already 9:15. So the next time I come on earlier in there, I'll actually segue and talk about that particular one. Matthew chapter 17, verses 10, 11, 12, 13. Matthew 17, 10 through 13 verses. But it's a conversation, and many Christians don't understand. But that is the basis of transmigration of a soul. It's said indirectly through the conversation. And then in Revelation, it's also there. There are four elders. John seen the Revelation, four elders, and one of them had a head of a bird. It said there, but nobody knows. We happen to know who he is and what he even does. His name is Garuda. And so, and we know what he does, and even some things involving activities in his own life, that particular one of the four elders. Okay, so this is all there. So you won't get much transcendental information from the Bible. You get more the goodness. That's the whole point of Jesus wanted to get people from being passionate and acting ignorantly or badly to being good people. And good people are transferred to heavenly planets. And so that's the program for Christianity. And for that matter, many other religions. Those who are in there, they go to heavenly planets, but not the spiritual world. That will be the next phase of what Christians will find out from Jesus. If they obey the rules about being a good person, if they do. And if they don't, they won't even go to a heavenly planet. They'll just be in another body next life. Anyway, so yeah, we'll talk a little more about that another time, because right now it's just it'll take me about another hour to describe those things. But yeah, it's important. Thanks for bringing it up. Hare Krishna. Any other final comments or questions? Okay, so thank all of you. Oh, thank you. Shane says thank you. Welcome, Gloria Shishira Prabhupada. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhivya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shira Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again for coming on today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gloria Shira Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu.